Hey ladies, when your man wanna get fucked, Jay-Z.
Oh my God! No. And I don't care. I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him, though.
Blu. The first Blu. Not they daughter Blu. Blu Cantrell. It's time for you to sing again.
He had another woman that was pregnant that was about to come out with her pregnancy around the same time.
The islands?
Something like that.
What Blu Cantrell didn't say about Jay-Z might just flip your whole view of him and Beyonce. Upside down. For years, whispers have crept through the industry. Secret convos behind closed doors, rumors about a hidden romance, a hush-hush pregnancy, and a silence that wasn't just chosen. It was forced. But what if that silence is about to explode? Picture this, Blu Cantrell being pushed out of the spotlight not because she flopped, but because she allegedly got in the way of the billion-dollar Carter image. And now, here's the part that got the streets in a chokehold. What if Blue Ivy, Jay-Z's daughter with Beyonce, ain't even Beyonce's biological child? Yep, it sounds wild, but people are really saying that. And it's got the internet digging deep. We're not just talking petty gossip. This might be one of the most twisted and buried stories in the history of music. Let's run it back. Before she disappeared, Blu Cantrell wasn't just some one-and-done singer. Nah, she had the full package. Vocals, style, and a vibe that had execs betting big.
Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that.
Born Tiffany Cobb, she had already worked behind the scenes with the biggest names out, including Diddy, before her own breakout in 2001. She was climbing fast until something or someone shut it all down. Hard. And now, the silence is starting to crack. That's when everything blew up. Blu Cantrell dropped her debut album, So Blue, and it was an instant smash. Her hit single, Hit 'em Up style, Oops, wasn't just spinning on the radio. It owned the airwaves. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing it blasting through speakers. She didn't just climb the charts, she dominated them. The album went gold in just 2 weeks, shot straight up the Billboard 200, and even landed her 2 Grammy nominations. Back-to-back wins for a brand new artist. Blu Cantrell was on fire, doing interviews, locking in huge tours, and sharing stages with R&B royalty like Ashanti, Mia, and Monica. She wasn't just next up, she was about to take over. But right when it seemed like she was seconds away from securing that crown, something in the game switched. And trust, it had nothing to do with her talent or sales.
I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
The real issue? Jay-Z. People started whispering that Blu and Hob were getting way too close behind the scenes. And this wasn't no just friends type of vibe. We're talking late night link-ups, exclusive parties hosted by Diddy himself, and rumors of sneaky getaways. Insiders were saying the chemistry between them was off the charts, like everyone could feel it. The music industry was buzzing. Was it just a fling? Or was something way deeper going on? Then came the moment that blew it wide open. Wendy Williams, who never holds back, cornered Blu live on air. She hit her with the question straight up. Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically? And Blu, the look on her face said everything. Blu's reaction? Man, it said everything without saying a word. She giggled, she blushed. She dodged the question like a pro. No, yes, no, no. Just a slick little smile and that heavy pause that had folks watching like, yo, what just happened? That silence. It screamed louder than words. Something definitely went down. And just like that, boom, the media went crazy. Headlines lit up, blogs ran wild. That one cheeky moment poured gasoline on the rumors and turned whispers into legend. All while Beyonce was stepping into her solo glow-up, young, polished, and moving like a silent assassin in heels. But if the talk around the industry was true, Jay-Z wasn't just hyping Bey from a business angle. He was caught in a whole emotional tug of war. On one side, Blu, raw, bold, and unpredictable. On the other, Beyoncé, calculated, molded, and ready to take the throne. Then in that same spicy Wendy Williams interview, Blu didn't just play coy, she threw shade like daggers. She suggested Jay didn't choose Bey because of her talent, but because she was young and easier to control back then. Folks tried to brush it off as bitter talk, but looking back now, it sounds more like a warning. Like she was trying to tell us what really went down behind closed doors.
So let's lock this down like it's supposed to be. The 03 Bonnie and Clyde.
Blu wasn't quiet about the aftermath either. She straight up accused Beyoncé of stealing her whole style. From the vocals to the image, she said Bey bit everything. Then, out of nowhere, it was like someone hit the delete button on Blu's career. Bookings, gone. Radio play, cut off. Her deal with Arista, dropped in silence. No big scandal, no drama-filled exit. She just vanished, like she never existed. One of R&B's brightest lights, suddenly gone. One of R&B's brightest new stars, silenced. Was it all just bad timing? Or was something way darker going on behind the scenes? Ask Jaguar Wright, the fearless artist who's exposed the music industry's dirty secrets, and she won't hold back. She said it loud and clear. Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me. She wasn't just throwing shade, she was throwing truth bombs. Jaguar straight up claimed that Blu Cantrell's disappearance wasn't just a flop, it was intentional. She alleged that Jay-Z and Beyoncé used their industry clout to blacklist Blu completely. And when they named their daughter Blue Ivy, Jaguar called that move chilling, saying it wasn't a tribute, it was erasure. A calculated way to wipe Blu Cantrell's name from the culture and replace it with their own brand new legacy. That's cold. But Blu didn't go down without swinging. In 2013, she reappeared out of nowhere, called herself a free agent, and announced a third album. Fans got hyped. They thought she was ready to reclaim her spot. But then, nothing. No singles, no videos, no interviews, just silence. Like her comeback got blocked before it even started. Then came 2014, the moment that broke the internet. Blu was found in the streets of Santa Monica barefoot, screaming that someone was trying to poison her with gas. Cops showed up, and she was taken in for a psych eval. The media didn't even hesitate. They branded her crazy on the spot. No compassion, no questions, just chaos. And just like that, Blu's name was erased from the industry for good. But what if that 2014 incident wasn't some breakdown? What if Blu wasn't spiraling? What if she was escaping? Some fans believe she knew too much, said too much, and the industry made sure she'd never speak again. Now, this is where things get real deep and real crazy. There's a wild rumor that's been floating through the underground for years that Blu Cantrell is actually the real mother of Blue Ivy Carter. At first glance, it sounds like just another wild internet theory, until you start stacking the facts. And when you line them up, it stops sounding like nonsense and starts looking intentional. Let's connect the dots. Blu Cantrell vanished in 2004, right after her second album dropped. Not a slow fade, not a quiet step back, we're talking a full stop. No new music, no features, no interviews, no red carpets, just gone. And then, boom. In 2012, Beyoncé announces the birth of Blue Ivy Carter. That's 8 years later. But here's the part that got folks side-eyeing hard. Why the name Blu? Fans were quick to point out the connection. Was it just Jay-Z's obsession with the color? Or was it something deeper? A hidden tribute? Or maybe even a cover-up? The timing's too eerie. Blu Cantrell disappears, and then a child with her exact name pops up linked to the same man she was rumored to have a secret relationship with. That's when online detectives started digging, and what they found sent chills through the fan base. Some believe the name wasn't a coincidence at all. It was a cold, calculated move. A way to erase Blu Cantrell while recycling her identity into the new Royal Carter legacy. A tribute and a silencing, all in one. And it gets darker. Some folks claim Blu might have been forced to give up a child, or worse, pressured to terminate a pregnancy she never wanted to end. Those who back this theory say Beyoncé's pregnancy story has always felt a little shaky, like something just didn't add up. Is this just smoke, or are we staring straight into one of the music industry's best-kept secrets? Let's rewind to 2011, that now infamous interview. Beyoncé sat down with Australia's Sunday night show, looking flawless in a tight, form-fitting dress. But when she leaned forward, something weird happened. Her baby bump folded, like literally folded, in on itself. Viewers were shocked. People swore it looked like a deflated prop, not a real pregnancy belly. Instantly, rumors exploded across the internet. Was Beyoncé faking the pregnancy? Was she wearing a prosthetic belly while someone else carried the baby for her behind the scenes? And when you add that to Blu Cantrell's sudden disappearance, the whole story starts feeling way too clean, too perfect, too orchestrated. So then comes the real question. If Beyoncé didn't actually carry that child, who did?
Come on, man.
That's when all eyes turned right back to Blu Cantrell. Some started wondering, was she the one who carried Jay-Z's baby? And if so, was she forced into it and then made to vanish under threats? Was she ordered to stay silent or disappear forever? Jaguar Wright, one of the most fearless voices out there exposing industry secrets, didn't sugarcoat it. She said flat out that Jay-Z and Beyoncé erased Blu. According to her, they used their power to rebuild the narrative, shut down competition, and wipe out anyone who could reveal the truth. Even the name Blue Ivy, Jaguar said that wasn't about love, it was about control. A way to keep Blu Cantrell's shadow tucked quietly into their legacy while the public stayed clueless. But here's where things hit a whole other level. According to Blu Cantrell herself, when Beyoncé found out she was pregnant, she didn't just get mad, she allegedly snapped. Blu claimed Bey didn't just try to cut her off, she tried to poison her. And even worse, she was reportedly pressured into ending the pregnancy. If any of that is true, then this isn't just a messy rumor. It's a whole cover-up wrapped in diamonds and designer gowns. Blu Cantrell says that betrayal, not fame, not the music industry, is what broke her. Not the pressure, not the spotlight, but being used, discarded, and erased. That's what shattered her soul. So when she was found barefoot in the streets of Santa Monica crying out about poison, fans didn't see a breakdown. They saw a pattern, a disturbing one. Because we've seen it before too many times. Britney Spears, Kanye West, Martin Lawrence, Jaguar Wright. The industry doesn't just push inconvenient people to the side. It destroys them. Same playbook every time. First, make them look unstable. Then wipe them out like they never existed. Blu Cantrell went from a rising R&B queen to a complete ghost. And not because she lost her talent, but because she allegedly knew too much and said the wrong things. And that's exactly why this Blue Ivy theory refuses to die. Even if some still believe Beyoncé is the biological mother, the layers of secrecy, the NDAs, the ironclad image control, it all feels way too orchestrated. Too perfect. It doesn't just hint at something deeper. It screams it. Now ask yourself, what if Blu Cantrell did have a child with Jay-Z? What would that do to the Carter brand? A billion-dollar empire built on image, power, and perfection. It wouldn't just shake the foundation. It'd crack it wide open. Jay-Z wouldn't just be exposed as a cheater. He'd be painted as a man who fathered a child in secret, and then helped erase the mother from the spotlight to protect his empire. And Beyoncé, she wouldn't be seen as just a loyal wife. She'd look like someone who rewrote history itself, playing the long game to protect her throne.
Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me, just like he did Elle, just like he did his relationship with R. Kelly, just like he did his relationship with Aaliyah. Blu, it's time to talk.
And Blu Cantrell, she'd no longer be just another name from the early 2000s. She'd be the missing link in one of the wildest, most mind-blowing celebrity scandals the industry has ever seen. But here's where it gets even stranger. Blu Cantrell never publicly claimed a child. No baby bump pics, no cryptic captions, no lullabies or hints at motherhood, just pure silence. And that silence? That's exactly what they needed from her. Blu didn't just fall off like some artists who lose steam. Her career didn't fizzle. It vanished. One day she was charting, getting Grammy nods. The next, gone. Like she never existed. And when you start pulling back the curtain to see how it all happened, and who was tied to it, the pattern is too clear to ignore. Let's rewind to 2003. Blu is still grinding for her spot in the R&B game. She dropped her second album, Bittersweet, a project that should have kept her rising. Her vocals were on point, the songs had depth, and she even snagged another Grammy nomination. But while the music delivered, the industry didn't. Behind the scenes, something was off. The album didn't get the marketing it deserved. No major push, no energy. Arista Records treated it like an afterthought, nowhere near the love they gave her debut. Tour dates started getting pulled quietly. Shows went unannounced. Buzz started fading, not because of the music, but because the machine just stopped working for her. Meanwhile, Beyoncé was stepping into full takeover mode. Every move was calculated, polished, protected, and while Bey was rising like a star built for the crown, Blu was being frozen out, quietly, deliberately. Then the final blow dropped. Arista didn't renew Blu's contract. No goodbye, no press release, just gone. That silence? It felt strategic, and fans were already whispering. But what Blu did next lit the fire. She didn't just sit back. She called out Beyoncé, saying the pop queen had copied her entire style. And when fans lined up the visuals, the comparisons weren't a stretch. Blu had receipts. And it started with the Roundup music video. And what came after would only make the whispers louder. Blu Cantrell's Roundup video was bold. A gritty Western concept with wild desert shots, fearless fashion, and a full-on cinematic vibe. Cowboys, chaos, and attitude. She brought it all. But not long after, Jay-Z and Beyoncé rolled out 3 Bonnie and Clyde, and the visuals were strikingly similar. Cowboy aesthetics? Check. Dusty roads and desert heat? Check. That same ride or die energy? All over it. And it didn't stop there. Blu's biggest hit, Breathe, featuring Sean Paul, was riding high on that smooth Caribbean wave. Chill beat, dancehall groove, and a seductive vibe that stuck. Then suddenly, Beyoncé drops Baby Boy. Also with Sean Paul, also drenched in island rhythm, sexy lyrics, and a beat that sounded way too close to what Blu had just delivered. Coincidence? Not likely. This wasn't random. It started looking like Blu's whole style, her sound, her visuals, her momentum, was being lifted and repackaged. All while her own platform was getting pulled out from under her. And guess who was in Beyoncé's corner the whole time? Jay-Z, the man allegedly tied to Blu before all of this. He wasn't just supporting Bey, he was shaping her entire rollout. Making sure her visuals were flawless, her timing perfect, her domination inevitable. Meanwhile, Blu's world was collapsing behind the scenes. Her budget slashed, her promo team gone, no support, no push. Her name quietly wiped from the R&B space like she was never part of the conversation. But Blu, she didn't just fold, she fought back. And in one of the boldest moves of her career, she didn't hide behind slick lyrics or cryptic posts. She called Beyoncé out directly, not just in her music, in interviews too. Blu wanted the world to know what really happened, and she was done playing nice.
Other mistress that has a love child with Jay-Z, allegedly. I didn't work on that story, but the reporters that did reported that, she was paid very well.
During a sit-down with The Guardian, Blu Cantrell finally let it all out, and she did not hold back. When asked about Beyoncé, her words cut deep. I'm an adult, she's younger, and if she's doing what you're saying, then she's being a little immature. If she goes there with me, it's the wrong move. And then she dropped a line that had fans shook. If you have issues with your man, address it with him. Don't take it out on the girl. To fans watching from the sidelines, that was a direct hit, no decoding needed. Blu was done playing nice. She wasn't just annoyed, she was furious. And she wasn't just firing at Beyonce, she was putting Jay-Z on blast too. But right after finally speaking her truth, poof, Blu disappeared. Again. No third album, no singles, no promo, no tour. Just gone. Right after she called out two of the most powerful figures in music? Sounds way too familiar. Jaguar Wright saw it coming. And she said it loud and clear. This ain't coincidence. This is the industry's favorite trick, what she calls strategic erasure. According to Jaguar, if you don't play along or you speak at the wrong time, they blackball you. Fast. And in Blu's case, Jaguar believes it was intentional. Blu didn't just fade into the background, she was erased, silenced, blocked out. This wasn't some petty music feud. This was about control. Blu Cantrell had the voice, the look, the hits, and most dangerously, she had a story. One that didn't fit the perfect narrative the industry wanted to sell. So they did what they always do when someone knows too much and speaks too loud. They made her disappear. If Blu Cantrell really had a relationship with Jay-Z and possibly even carried his child, then wiping her from the spotlight had nothing to do with music charts. This wasn't about flops. This was about burying a bombshell that could have shattered an entire empire. And here's the kicker. It didn't stop with Blu. Take a look around. Other major R&B women who were thriving before Beyonce's solo reign? Mia, Monica, Aaliyah. All of them were dominating the scene. But then, one by one, they started disappearing from the mainstream. Maya went from red carpets and hit collaborations to quietly sliding into the indie lane. Monica, she was still dropping fire, but suddenly, radio wasn't playing her. The push was gone. And Aaliyah, she was on the verge of Hollywood royalty, transitioning into acting, becoming bigger than ever. Until her tragic plane crash in 2001. Right around the time Destiny's Child became unbeatable. To some fans, and even insiders, this ain't just bad luck. It looks calculated. A whole reshuffling of the industry. And guess who had the power to make those moves? By 2004, Jay-Z was named president of Def Jam. That's not just clout, that's control. And it just so happens, that's the exact moment Blu Cantrell's contract was dropped. Coincidence? Not likely. And then Blu dropped another bomb that had jaws on the floor. She revealed that when it came time to negotiate her contract, she was told to use a specific lawyer. But what she didn't know? That same lawyer was already working for the label. Yeah, you heard that right. That lawyer was working for them, Blu said. They took what was mine. She lost her masters, got scraps and royalties from her own hits, and every time she tried to fight back, wall after wall. That's not bad business. That's a setup. Straight up sabotage hidden behind legal jargon and industry smiles. No support, no platform, no way out. And when the pressure finally broke her, it led straight to that unforgettable night in 2014. The one that turned whispers into headlines. By then, Blu Cantrell had already been wiped clean from the spotlight. No third album, no tours, no buzz. You couldn't even catch her name in casual industry convos. Fans who once saw her dominate the charts were left wondering, what happened to Blu? Then, out of nowhere, boom. She was back in the media. But not for a comeback, not for new music. Blu was found barefoot running through the streets of Santa Monica at 2 a.m., screaming that someone was trying to poison her with gas. The police rushed her in for a psych evaluation. And from that moment on, the media flipped the script fast. They didn't stop to ask questions. They didn't dig deeper. They just slapped on labels. Unstable, unhinged, washed up. Another crazy singer who had lost it. And just like that, Blu went from Grammy nominee to tabloid punchline. The public barely blinked. Just another celebrity meltdown, right? But to real fans watching closely, it didn't sit right. It felt way too familiar. We've seen this before. Back in 1996, Martin Lawrence was found in traffic, arms flailing, yelling that people were trying to kill him. In 2016, Kanye West was forcibly hospitalized right after going off script on stage, calling out Jay-Z, Beyonce, and the mystery power players running the show. And Britney Spears? Her very public breakdown came after years of legal control, media torment, and silencing. This ain't coincidence. To some, it's a pattern, one that keeps repeating when a celebrity gets too bold, too loud, or too hard to control. Blu's moment in Santa Monica wasn't just a breakdown. For many, it looked like a final scream for help in a system designed to crush people like her. She shaved her head. She smashed windows. And just like that, the media slapped on the label. Insane. You see the pattern yet? Every time a star starts getting too loud, too inconvenient, or refuses to play the game, the industry doesn't miss a beat. They already got a script ready. And the crazy card? It gets pulled fast. Blu Cantrell's downfall followed that same exact blueprint. The same one we saw with Britney. The same one they tried with Yeah. But here's the twist. Blu didn't stay silent forever. Years later, she finally started speaking out, and what she revealed flipped that chaotic 2014 moment on its head. According to Blu, that night running barefoot through Santa Monica wasn't some random meltdown. It was the breaking point of a trauma she'd carried in silence for years. Trauma that had been buried under contracts, power plays, and betrayal. She didn't just feel abandoned by the industry, she felt erased. And worse, she said she was betrayed by the very people who once swore to protect her. Blu dropped a bomb about the contract she signed with Arista. She said the lawyer who was supposed to have her back, the one guiding her deal, was secretly tied to the label and connected to Jay-Z's inner circle. In her own words, that lawyer ended up representing them. Conflict of interest. They were all working together to basically take what was mine. She says it wasn't just shady, it was a setup. Lied to, misled, and boxed out of her own career. And when she finally tried to reclaim her truth, they did what the machine always does. Labeled her unstable. Tossed her in the crazy pile. Moved on. But the most explosive claim. Blu said someone actually tried to poison her with gas that night in 2014. The night the world thought she just snapped. To her, it wasn't a breakdown. It was survival. Blu says it loud. That night wasn't a breakdown. It was a desperate escape. And while the truth behind her claims is hard to prove, she's not the only one with a story like this. Enter Tiara Mari, once hyped as the next big thing under Jay-Z's Rockefeller label. She had the voice, the look, the energy. But out of nowhere, her whole career collapsed. According to insiders, it wasn't about talent. It was about getting too close to Jay-Z. And the moment Beyonce allegedly found out, everything got shut down. Then came the blind item that shook the industry to its core. It claimed Beyonce sent a very clear message to every major label exec. No record deals for Tiara Mari, and anyone who even considered crossing that line, they got a visit, a quiet reminder of who really runs the game behind the scenes. But that's not where it ends. There's also the dark, still whispered story of Katira Kathy White, another woman linked to Jay-Z. Rumors flew that she was pregnant and getting ready to go public with everything. But the day before she was allegedly set to speak out, she was found dead. No media storm, no lengthy investigation, just a quick file close and silence. Fast and clean. But as time passed, the whispers only got louder, and they didn't just aim at Jay-Z anymore. Some folks started pointing fingers at Beyonce too. Theories started popping up that Kathy was silenced before she could speak. That too many voices were being erased before the truth ever had a chance to surface. And with that in mind, Blu Cantrell's breakdown in 2014 starts to feel a whole lot darker. It wasn't just about mental health, it wasn't just stress. For some, it's starting to look like she was running from something powerful, something dangerous, and something that didn't want her truth getting out. It wasn't a meltdown. It wasn't mental illness. What happened to Blu Cantrell was a final scream, the desperate cry of someone who had been silenced for far too long. By the time she cracked, she had nothing left. No label, no legal team, no voice in the industry. And the second she broke down publicly, they stamped her as unstable, washed their hands, and kept the machine moving. The truth? Still buried. But Blu wasn't the only one who vanished when Beyoncé's rise hit full speed. As her star became untouchable, other women in R&B started disappearing, and not in the usual industry fade-out. These were sudden, abrupt, no press releases, no scandals, no farewell tours, just gone, like someone hit delete. When you start stacking these stories side by side, Tiara Mari, Kathy White, Blu Cantrell, a pattern starts to burn straight through the surface. And now, let's talk about Mia. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Maya was everywhere. Platinum records, Grammy-winning features, major label backing. She was even featured on some of Jay-Z's biggest hits. A household name. But right as Beyoncé split from Destiny's Child and began her solo takeover, Mia's mainstream run vanished, almost overnight. No major scandal. No falling out. Just a quiet shift. Pushed toward indie labels, stripped of radio support, her distribution dried up. And just like Blu, Mia was left to hustle on her own. No machine, no backing, just grit. Years later, Maya admitted what many suspected: she felt blackballed. She said she had to rebuild everything from scratch, all because of industry politics turning against her. And who had power in that era? Who had the influence to make or break careers with a single call? The answer becomes too clear when the same names keep surfacing, and the same women keep getting erased. And then there's Aaliyah. Before Beyoncé stepped into solo superstardom, Aaliyah was already wearing the crown. She was the future of R&B and pop, effortlessly crossing into Hollywood, landing movie roles, turning heads on red carpets, and cooking up a whole new sound. She had next. She was it. But in 2001, everything changed. Aaliyah died in a sudden and tragic plane crash, right as Destiny's Child was preparing to close their final chapter, and Beyoncé was being prepped for global takeover. Some say it's not a conspiracy, just a major cultural shift, but others, they see the writing on the wall. After Aaliyah's passing, there was no one left playing on Beyoncé's level. The competition was gone. The lane was clear. The throne, vacant. Which brings us back to Blu Cantrell. What if her story wasn't just a forgotten footnote? What if it was the first chapter of something deeper? A warning, a blueprint, maybe even a test run. Blu had it all. The voice, the backing, the spotlight. And then boom, it was all ripped away. The industry has done this before, and it's still happening. But now, the silence is starting to crack. Whistleblowers like Jaguar Wright are naming names. Old interviews with Blu are resurfacing. Fans are connecting the dots fast. All those old contracts, backdoor deals, and shady power moves, they're not staying buried anymore. Because if Blu was erased, who's next? And how many more stories have we never been allowed to hear? If this video gave you something to think about, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Who do you think got silenced? Who's still hiding in the shadows? Share this with someone who remembers the old R&B era, and I'll see you in the next one.